What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Wet Gains, a part of the Wet Brains, of course. Today, we're back again with Alex,
What's up?
and we have a special guest on today, a mutual friend of ours, a friend from high school. I've known him a bit longer, so I get extra points for that, I think. I don't know. We'll see. We have Chris. What's up, man? How are you?
What it do? How's everybody doing? I'm chilling, doing my thing. Missing some Brent boys, so this is good.
It's good.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. So, Chris, you are
What?
Mr. Modus Movements on Instagram, right?
Mr. Mover, Mr. Modus. All right, I
Mr.
see
Modus
you. Yeah,
Movements. Yeah. Could you
kind of.
explain to
Yeah,
us what you do on Modus Movements, like what it is you post and stuff like that? Just give the listeners a brief rundown about what you do.
I see you. Okay, well, what I do is sort of like freestyle, expressive movement patterns that, if you have a certain intent, can achieve like a certain goal. If you want to be more flexible, then if you work on trying to be flexible, you're gonna get flexible. If you want to be more mobile, meaning like more strength in those end ranges of motion, then that's gonna help as well. And if you want to be powerful, then you can do the same as well. Just changing the techniques, like let's say tempo and intensity. Like that's what it is. So what I do is sort of like a mashup of different body weight movements. So it could be a b-boy movement pattern, it could be a yoga movement pattern, it could be a capoeira movement pattern. So it's you putting a label on what that movement is or skill that I'm doing kind of like limits it because it's all under one branch of movement.
Okay. So,
So
would you call it like animal or primal movement?
yeah, I started off thinking it was like animal movements because I was like, okay, maybe there's something good about stuff being primal, you know what I mean? But also, like, you look at the like natural laws of the universe, like the Fibonacci sequence, that you see it everywhere, like your eyes, flowers, like it's the ratio of your body from like the edge of your fingertips to your arms, you know what I mean? Like that's why you can transition to so many different movements because that ratio allows you to get into it.
Mm.
Like it's the expression of energy.
Shit, damn, that's crazy. That's
That's good.
insane.
That's good. That's good.
Damn,
I fuck with that. Fuck with that.
that's crazy. So you wouldn't necessarily put movement training under one specific type of training. It's multiple training disciplines put together in order to come at like
Yes.
to get at different outcomes. Would you say that?
Mm-hmm. Because like movement for me could be a whole different meaning to another person. Let's say like to someone who's actually a dancer, they might do more stuff that involves more rhythm, and more like let's just stick to rhythm because that's a little easier to imagine. And for me, I was more focused on like being flexible, so I started learning like yoga stuff and basic mobility shit. So my stuff, it looks more like yoga than it does like dancing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's because of like what you practice is what you're gonna get. Because what movements you do are gonna map your like what do you call it? Not neurochemistry, but like your
Neural
neural
pathways.
map.
Yeah,
Neuroadaptation.
Yeah.
some
Something like that.
someone's
Not
brain.
neuroadaptation because like that's something else. But yeah, because every movement, every sensation, and all of that can be mapped somewhere in your brain. It's only like your perception, what you bring into awareness is what highlights it.
Shit. So movement
My
in a
bad. I
way.
might be going off topic a couple of times, but that's just me being me.
No.
No
That's
worries.
good,
No
dude.
worries.
Go off topic as much as you want, dude. This is how it is here on
No,
the
because
on the.
it's very different to see because obviously you incorporate a lot of yoga stretches and techniques, but you also notice that you
Yeah,
do
I
a lot
had to
of
start off.
twirls as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you seen Conor McGregor's coach, Ido Portal? Have you heard of him?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw his movement video like 2-3 years ago, and I tried doing the stuff he did right away. But like, it was just such a stumbling block because like, first of all, I'm not pound for pound as strong as he is, and like, he has had so much more like experience. So I had to regress and like find like a simpler solution to get to like Ido Portal movement, and I started off with animal flow, and then animal flow there were certain movement patterns that I couldn't get into. So I focused on the flexibility so that I could get there. And then once I was doing it more often, changing like the tempos, changing directions, then it gave me like the strength. And after a while, like learning a bunch of different movement patterns, you sort of you kind of become self-exploratory because you learn things on your own, and learning that skill is the most important thing because learning a new movement pattern literally builds brain tissue. I think it's called neurogenesis or something, and you can only do that through movement and sleep. Well, it happens in sleep, but it's also caused because of movement.
So
For
do
sure.
you
Damn.
do you combine movements you see online, or do you
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
like
yeah, for
freestyle
sure.
it basically?
So like I'll see a bunch of movements. I'll see a bunch of people doing their thing online, like whether it be like dancers, b-boyers, people who do animal movements or primal movements or like MoveNet or GMB. There's so many different types of movements. You know, capoeira, martial arts type stuff. It's but when I go into like a training session and like when I film stuff, I don't pre-plan what my movement like patterns are gonna be. It's just like what I've worked on before and what I feel like doing. I'll just put on the camera and like play a song and just kind of just go into it. But in the beginning, my training was much more structured because I had to learn it, you know. But like now, it's a lot easier because I'll probably like what my day looks like now is when I wake up, I do I just do like 10 to 15 minutes of just like a chill dynamic warm up. That's just gonna get me ready for the rest of the day so that my back doesn't feel like shit from waking up and then I can play golf after, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll do 10 to 15 minutes of that, and then because I have to train for golf, I'll go practice my chipping, and after like a couple hours of that, I'll go home. Then I'll do flowing stuff like movement flows and or kettlebell stuff or like a mace bell, steel mace. So then I'll add some like more intensity into it, but not too much that it's taxing, you know. Like, because I don't think fitness is all about like killing yourself. Because
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I don't think that's how it was back before. Because you're trying to survive, you know. So right. So then at the end of the day, if I still have the energy to do so, I'll do some strength training, some push or pull or legs, you know. But I like to keep the movements pretty simple.
So it's all based on feel, about what you feel, whether or not you have
Yeah,
it
a
in
lot
you.
of it is based on feel.
Right.
And how I even got into the movement stuff was because of golf. Because when I was playing golf, I was thinking of a way that I could improve myself outside of the golf course. So it's like, how can I do that? Because when the golf course just and in life, it's just stress. You know, it's different. You have decisions, and decisions come with stress because you have to pick, right? And it has consequences. So stress management, I was really interested in it, and stress is really like somatic and psychological at the same time. Like you can really start the stress in your head, but you can also start the stress in your body. Like for me, I notice sometimes that my legs are tapping or my neck is too stuck out and then my breathing gets shallow. Like those are physical ways for you to push yourself into like anxiety because you're not putting your body in like an optimal position to do its thing. Me sitting down like this, I'm collapsing my lung. I'm not getting as much oxygen as I should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it's just interesting today because there's so much more like research on like mind body things. You know,
Right.
people, it's hard to distinguish the mind and the brain because they're pretty much the same thing. But what connects your mind and your body is your nervous system, and that's pretty key. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with your movement training at least, so you how many times do you do this throughout the week? Is this every day or like what's up?
Um. Oh well, yeah. I mean, like I'll try to do it every day, but like I'm a human, so like I don't.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
I mean, like I have a bunch of different stuff going on too. So like I'm still trying to apply to schools again in Germany because I'm gonna move there,
That's
and
fair.
then trying to start this website with the Zeki for the movement stuff.
Oh
Trying to
hell
go play
yeah!
golf.
Dude.
Sir, all this information I'm like saying, I'm not doing it justice by explaining it like this. That's why I want to do a website where I can completely explain it with like scientific literature. So like I can point it out like it's fucking here. It's in the papers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
when you do a lot of your movements, do you obviously you said you do like strength training towards the end of the day. How often do you
Yeah.
do strength training?
Strength training 2 to 3 times a week.
2 to 3 times
Because
a week.
I mean, two or three times a week. That's pretty standard for like I think most programs
Yeah.
that focus on people just generally getting stronger. I like doing the body weight stuff more because you're handling your own body weight in different harder like positions, and because you're only handling your own body weight, there's a smaller likelihood you're going to injure yourself because you're not like using weight that's heavier than you.
And
Right.
it's sort of more like you're applying to like more natural kind of movement as well. Because like body weight is a lot more
Yeah.
natural because you don't have to like put yourself in a position where you have to just push weight around. You actually get to use your body and the whole chain.
Yeah, exactly. So like think about it this way. People who are in fitness today, like those fucking fitness influencers you see in Dubai, they probably think being healthy is like who can squat the fucking most. But like, can you do a single leg pistol squat? Can you squat down with your knees over your toes? Like, if you can be really good at one principle of training, and that could be strength. You can be super strong, but that still means it could like debilitate your function though. Just because you're like super good at one thing, it could still fuck up the other shit, like the other stuff. Yeah. Like for me, I noticed that my weight tends to fluctuate a lot, and like I'm not really sure why, but I can go from like let's say 78 kg to like 80, 85. And if I'm playing golf, when I'm at 85, I'm expecting to hit it further because I like there's more mass, right? But I don't, like, which is weird. I tend to hit it further when I'm lighter, and like I think it's just because I'm using more elasticity than I am strength and power. You know, and that's like less taxing on the body too because I'm using its natural movement to get me there. You know, like versus like forcing it.
No, I get that. Well, so just a question. So you lifted weights in high school, right? I remember you did that a lot. How would
Yeah,
you
a bit.
compare your fitness now compared to like back then in high school before you did a lot of the animal and primal movements?
Yeah. My training before, it was like, okay, how can I get big? And like,
That's every
I was
guy's
like, how can I
question.
get
That's every guy's
yeah,
question in
every
high
guy,
school. How
right?
can I
Like,
get
how can I
big?
get swole? So like, of course you want to get swole, but like, okay, I need the information. So I look through YouTube for like, how do you actually do this shit, right? And like, everybody is giving like the same answers, which it seemed too easy. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what you do, and that's the answer. And like, I'm not big by any means, but like, I don't think like size is just the complete answer. But when I was working out that way, I felt I was bored all the time, and I couldn't get myself to the gym to actually lift. Because I was like, I'm doing the same shit over again. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this like 30 reps today for like, okay, like 4 or 5 sets to like 6 to 8 reps, right? But I got super bored of that, and I would like, and I hated getting that sore ass feeling because I still have to play golf, you know, and like I feel that when I'm playing golf, but of course, over a while when you do train consistently, you don't get the sore feeling as much. But training shouldn't feel uncomfortable, you know, because like movement isn't there to like make you feel like shit. It's supposed to enhance you, you know?
Would you
Like,
say?
Think
'Cause,
about
like,
it this way. Think about it this way. Actually, never mind. I lost it.
sorry, that was my bad. I think I cut you off there, dude. I cut you there. Shit. My bad. No, but so would you say uh would you say that your mobility has gotten better over the course of doing all this movement stuff?
Yeah, man. And like, I'm actually a pretty lazy person. So I've seen a lot of improvement. Me doing like the body weight training, but I see the improvement through the movement flows and how I feel like outside of the gym. Not really like it's more the strength gains are more transferable to other things. But when I like if I get strong in the gym, it isn't really as transferable when I go to the floor and actually try to do some like movement stuff. I just like the movement flows because and the body weight training because you're really building yourself to be strong pound for pound. You know, it's like that One Punch Man vibe versus like being a Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being fucking huge like Brock Lesnar if that's what you want. Go, then by all means, go ahead, you know. But like, I want to live long, you know. I want to see what the future's going to be like. And like, being healthy somatically is just going to reflect psychologically, vice versa. You know, like the highest trees, the highest branches, their roots probably go down all the way to hell. You know,
Damn.
it's like, damn. How hard can you work, but like how hard can you chill too? You know what I mean? And I think that's also one of the that's how you call this build brain tissue. Dude. Andrew Huberman talks about it, like something about like absolute focus and then just absolute relaxation. It's like that. It's that friction, you know. It's that like eccentric versus concentric. It's that yin and yang. It's like gotta find the perfect balance between things.
Are you familiar with what a flow state is?
Yeah, I am.
So
it's sort
would
of
you say
like
that
okay,
you're like whenever you do animal movements or whenever you do motor movements, do you feel like you're in a flow state?
sometimes I do feel like I do get into a flow state. That's not really the goal. It's more of like a side effect if I keep doing my stuff like consistently. And if the beat's mad good, like you can get into a flow. But flow is like really interesting, but it's also really hard to measure, you know, because it's really subjective. Like I do feel the flow sometimes, but of course it gets interrupted when you mess something up, right? Because like the whole idea behind flow is like how curious you are with something versus how bored it can get you, right? I mean, how the difficulty and then the curiosity, right? Isn't that what it is? Difficulty and curiosity, and it has to be like in the middle for you to be in that flow state because you're executing things at the proper ease, but it's not too easy that it's boring for you, but it's still a challenge, so it's interesting. So like that's why my movement stuff, it kind of just I go through phases where it's like I get stuck doing the same movement patterns, but after a while I like kind of like level up and I start doing something else different. And like if you look at my old videos, you kind of could see that I would do a lot more side crawls, just basically stuff I was much stronger in, and then getting out of those positions, you kind of run into new positions you can get into, and you run into strength where you didn't expect it to be.
What do you mean by that?
Like, let's say I'm working on like an L sit, right?
Yeah.
When you're on the ground and you're trying to do an L sit, but also when you're b-boying and trying to do an air flare. So like it can the strength gains you get from doing an L sit will go to you being able to achieve to do a flare.
Oh, so it's transferable.
Yeah, it's transferable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that the reason why you use like a lot of kettlebell workouts? Because
yeah, and I like to do if I see I do like flow, I really like flow. That's why I have that. I have the mace bells, I have the kettlebells, and I do stuff with like body weight. But recently, I've just been like super interested in like neuroscience. It's been like messing me up. So I don't know. I get mixed between kinesiology and neuroscience.
Damn. Wait. So you're researching into the shit on your own. Like you don't have like a teacher telling you like, hey, fucking look this shit up.
Nah,
Jesus
bro. When
Christ.
I went to TCU, they did nothing for me. Like, when I went to like Texas in the States, university in the States, it was so stupid because I went there. It was like, yo, bro, I was fucking around in high school. I'm actually like, let's get this education going. You know, I want to learn some shit.
Yeah.
But like, I fucking get there and I'm like, yo, this is just a fucking school. Everyone here is so mindless. Like, do you even know what the fuck you want to do? And everyone has the same answer. They're just like, I don't know. I mean, like okay. I mean, okay, if you don't know what you want to do, still understandable. But like, it doesn't seem like anyone is making a conscious effort. And like, professors didn't really like care what you were interested in. So I was like, yo, fuck this shit. So I started just skipping classes and learning, like trying to do the movement stuff because I was still like super hooked into Ido Portal, but I couldn't do it. So I was doing animal flow, and then like I started finding my own way of moving.
Nice.
Yeah.
It started off with like psychology times kinesiology, but now it's kind of like a mix of three. Now it's psychology, neuroscience, and kinesiology. Because you can't separate mind and body because of the nervous system.
Like whenever
You know?
you get like interested in doing some sort of physical activity, you always want to know more how to do it better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if your mind can affect your body, then your body can affect your mind. You know, and there's data out there. I just can't really like remember it right now. I've been drinking like with my parents, but the literature is out there. You know, it's out there. You just have to pick it. And like, it's not like social media today and doctors are helping. All of them are pushing like pretty band-aid solutions, just shit so that they can fix it now. Like, okay, you go to a doctor and you're just getting chronic inflammation and you're just constantly getting headaches and you're stressed out. Like, and then the doctor wants to prescribe you like, okay, let's give you serotonin, right? Or like give you a happiness molecule. Like, okay, serotonin is like the happy molecule, but it's like the more chill one, the more serene. The dopamine is the one that's like, yo, let's fucking go, right? But you can give those, but like if there's no direction for it, what's the point? You know? Like, so the answer isn't just one thing. It's really like you have to look at the whole thing holistically. You know, look at yourself holistically. You're not just a machine with like different parts. We're all energy, man. Like, we're all energy.
I get
According
what
to
you
physics,
mean. I
we're
get
all
what you mean. Because like if you notice, it's a lot to do with our inactivity, right?
yeah.
Like us sitting down all day. Like we a lot of people have like the posterior, like the anterior, like the fucking curve, right, where their ass sticks out and they have like a big gut because they're sitting down all day. They have tight hip flexors and shit like that.
Yeah.
And they got poor posture, poor shoulders, very weak mobility, and that's a lot of tension.
Yeah.
And then like
Definitely. Like,
yeah, like when you do your movements, right, a lot of it alleviates a lot of tension. When you work out, when you go outside and just walk, it alleviates a lot of the tension. Lets your body like de-stress and decompress.
like, I feel like a lot of people want to be happy, but maybe it's about like decreasing stress, you know, so you can live your life to the fullest in the easiest route possible. So how can you take those obstacles out of the way, like constantly feeling like shit? Like, let's say for me, I hate going on my phone first thing during when I wake up because that just makes me feel so sleepy the rest of the day. Another thing is like, just society in general isn't sort of supportive in being healthy. And I don't think it's because I don't think there's any malice behind it. It's just there's just not enough information on it because people have been way more invested into making money because that's the world's pretty much the money, like it's just a money chase, you know, everyone's just trying to get the bag. But now we're getting examples, people do get the bag, but they're not happy, right? So there's clearly something missing. And maybe it's not just getting the money, it's maybe say, are you actually healthy? Are you balancing things right? Do you have like a healthy community? Do you have relationships that you value? Do you have things that it's the intangible things, you know? the shit that you don't see. Like,
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So I just like to sort of sidetrack things. I'm just a bit curious about like what your diet is like. How would you describe your diet? Is
My
it
diet?
consistent?
no. I like for me, I think I have a fast metabolism, so I can really eat a lot and not really gain weight. I have trouble gaining weight.
Mm.
So like during lockdown though, I gained so much weight because I was just stuck at home. But I lost it pretty quickly when everything went back to normal because I could go outside and just do my thing again. But my diet is pretty like I would say it's hard. It's high in carbs during the day, like a lot of rice during the day, and then like a lot of protein at night. But I should switch it though. I should have more protein during the day and then a lot of carbs at night because the carbs are what makes you sleepy, you know? So like being aware of things, I guess. But I mean, nutrition isn't like, nutrition changes all the time. Like the science is always changing on it. Like people are saying, oh, go on keto diet, oh, intermittent fasting, oh, like vegan, oh, go vegetarian. There's a lot of things, you know, but like whatever works for you.
Mm. Mm. So you're not on any specific diet, not following anything like that. It's just as the flow goes, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go more into it. Just don't have the time yet. Plus, it's just hard. Nutrition's hard as fuck.
It really is. It really is. Because you always have to like, you always have to tailor it to what your body needs and what you need. Because every individual is different.
Yeah. Like how much calories you expend during a day, but also like what you want to eat, the quality of what you eat. Because sometimes it's not just like, okay, you could be getting the vitamins and nutrients you're getting, but like, are those nutrients actually like what do you call it? Like bioavailable? Like, are they actually ready to be ingested, right? Are they ready to be absorbed and like capitalized on?
Yeah, like
pills. I can take mad pills and shit. I don't even really like take multivitamins when I should be. I don't really know where I was going with that, but like,
I really think you don't have to take multivitamins. You get a lot from your diet if you have like a very varied diet. I think there are some things like if you don't have enough fish, you should take like fish oil.
Yeah, it's true. Omega-3.
Omega-3, good for your heart and joints and shit.
Good fish fat. Yeah, it keeps the myelin sheath in your brain all good, so those neurons don't misfire. You know.
Mm. Second, going back to your comment about the quality of the food, like you'll see a lot of people like online, especially just talking about how they need to get their calorie goals, and you'll see them like eating shit, like just shit, like fucking pizza, burgers, and shit like that. Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's like, you know, like you're getting your calories, and sure, maybe you're reaching your macros, but like, it's not healthy, right? It's really just highly unsustainable, as well.
Yeah. And it's like if you do go on a new diet, it's like it looks like such a super clean diet. Are you gonna be able to do this? Are you gonna be able to stick to it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like okay, it's like quitting cigarettes cold turkey. You know, like it's not likely to happen, but it's gonna have to happen through steps, and like just be aware of it. You know, because really, the knowledge is gonna give you awareness. Over time, it's going to turn into experience, and that's what you want.
Absolutely.
That's applied to you. Wait, why is Matthew calling me? My bad.
You're good.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not really a healthy eater, man. Like I don't really eat vegetables that much. Don't really eat fruits that much. Those are my goals. Now I'm 2021. My diet goals. I'm gonna eat more vegetables and different fruits. You know what I mean? Like, nutrition's always changing, man. But I feel like
for sure
your habits are still just as important too versus like what you're eating. And sometimes like what time you eat is just as important. Like, have you heard of the Ayurvedic cycle?
Not sure if I have.
It's like the Indian version of the circadian rhythm, you know. But like, it says the best time to eat is at 12 o'clock. Lunchtime, because so your body kind of goes through like 3 different energies. You wake up, so okay, let me do this right. From 6 to 10 in the morning is water energy. I think it's called kapha energy, and then from 10 to 2 o'clock is fire energy. I think that's Vita. And then from 2 to 6 o'clock at night, then you got wind energy. So when you wake up from 6 to 10, you feel mad groggy, right? Like it's not easy to wake up post 6 a.m. But before 6 a.m., it's so easy somehow. For me, for my case, it's like I notice it. It's easy for me to wake up before 6 a.m. And that's because I hit that window where like it's still fire energy before the water energy kicks in. So 6 to 10 a.m., the best thing to do when you wake up is to work out, get sweating, get moving, just a little bit, 15, 20 minutes. And also, it's not just getting the movement, but getting the light exposure. Getting that light into your eyes is what tells your body you're awake. It's what tells your brain that you're awake, that you got to do shit, that the day has started. It secretes dopamine, and that dopamine is what gets you moving forward. Like literally. Because I think the amygdala is what keeps you. It's what kind of like, what does the amygdala do? Something about stress. But like, I saw something recently on Andrew Huberman's podcast that like looking sideways, like looking laterally, it decreased the negative emotions people had while they were revisiting negative memories. And that was like super interesting. And I don't want to butcher the explanation, but like Andrew Huberman explains it absolutely lovely. He explains neuroscience, in physiology, great. Like, and then Jordan Peterson comes in with the fucking psychology and just like mixes them two, just like, ooh, you got a whole salad of information. Then you have like authors like Noah Yuval Harari. He's like a historian, so he looks at stuff in the past where it went wrong, and he's gonna project how it is in the future. And then there's this other Indian dude who has the answers to this stuff in the future. So it's like getting different resources, getting all that knowledge. It's just good, man. Having all that awareness, it's just good.
So I take it that you look at. Oh, sorry, Benjo. I take
No,
it
yeah,
that you
no, I
look
mean,
at. Yeah. So I take it that you look at a lot of like Western and Eastern kind of techniques and research. Even though like a lot of the Eastern like is more of, it's not necessarily done in a scientific kind of way, but it's like what a lot of them have practiced and countless of times, and especially a lot in the past.
Yeah. So like many people would say like the Eastern version of like energy medicine is like it's like that needling thing, but also like the meridians. But then the Western version of it would be this by Alexander Lowen. Alexander Lowen was a student of William Reich, and William Reich was a student of Sigmund Freud. So it's just cool because Sigmund Freud started all he coined like one of the first few ideas about like somatic psychology, then went down to Wilhelm Reich, and then Alexander Lowen, he really just like dives into it, and it's just so interesting, man. Like there's so many metaphors that it just boggles you. And then there's this other book, Biocentrism, by Robert Lanza, and he explains consciousness. He explains life through consciousness. And I like this book because it's basically telling us if you didn't have your body, then you wouldn't be alive, because your body allows you to sense things, which allows you to perceive things, which allows you to just be conscious. So if you didn't have your sight, you couldn't see for shit. If you didn't have any of those senses, you wouldn't really like be living, because you wouldn't know how living in that way would be. Like for an example, like turtles, I think I forgot which ones, but like they have this like special sense where every once in a couple of years they meet up on this one little island, and all of them just gather up, and it's an orgy. But they all get to this island through.
Sick.
They don't do it through vision. They do it through magnetic forces. Like it's those different senses that limit your conscious experience, and all of those and it's through your body, man. Your skin is your biggest organ.
Yeah. So like I think a good example of or thinking a way of thinking about it is like you knowing where your foot is without you seeing it. Because like obviously you're aware that it's in a certain area of space, even though you can't technically see it, but it's like you're conscious of things around you, even though you technically can't see them, right?
Yeah, I think that's proprioception, right?
The
It's
proprioception.
yeah. And then another thing that
Yeah.
I can sort of like imagine what you're trying to talk about is like how salmon know where they spawned. It's like when they come back to the same river that where they spawn to like mate and die and shit like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get what you mean because like you're combining a lot of ideas, you know, and a lot of the inherent traits of the human body that we just haven't really, you know, thought about because it's just always been there and we're always used to having it there.
Yeah. And our bodies are strong, like no doubt about that. We really underestimate our bodies, but we go about the wrong way to strengthen it. You know, because I feel like a lot of people, they like myself included, I like to like when I want to achieve something, I'm gonna cram that shit in a day. But really, it should be spread out evenly. Because the best way to learn a skill is to do like 15 to 20 minutes of it, take a break, really chill, and then go back into it again. So like if you want to learn a handstand, the best way to do it isn't to crank at it an hour a day. It's to do it like 5 minutes, 10 different times a day.
And would you say that's like something that you've personally experienced that makes you you know
Yeah.
believe in it more because you've actually been able to improve a lot more mobility or other types of skills by doing that?
Mm-hmm. Before I would spend much more time in the gym because I would be passively like stretching, but now I don't spend too much time doing like flexibility exercises. I still do it when I wake up in the morning because that's like your foundation and that's still important. But now I can focus on more complex like movement skills that I want to attain. And then like the higher you aim, the higher you're gonna fail. You know, so it's okay if I don't learn those like patterns right away, but as long as I'm heading in a certain direction, it's gonna transfer in other areas as well. And like for me, when I do like my kettlebell movements, if I can move this kettlebell in all three different planes of motion and level up the weight, like if I can do it from 12 kgs to 24, I see that difference in my golf swing massively because I'm not just moving like forward and backwards. I'm also moving sideways in space, and it's through three different planes, right? It's sagittal, coronal, and transverse plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So training your body in that way prepares you for more real life situations because it's not like you're just gonna punch straight or not everything is gonna be equal, you know. So you got to be trained in unequal forces.
Yeah, I get what you mean because a lot of the times we fail to realize that you know we don't work on our like a rotational strength, or even our spine strength to like rotate because obviously a lot of power it comes from like you being able to rotate your body a lot with your torso, your abs, your spine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always important to train your body in multiple planes of direction, being able to take it in different ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. I what do you call this? There's been like different theories on posture because posture is constantly changing. You know, like okay, there's that Daffy Duck posture, that posterior pelvic tilt,
Yeah, that
right?
what I mentioned earlier.
And that's honestly a side effect of how society is because like naturally when we're supposed to relax, we're in a full squat. We're in a full squatted position. So the hip flexors aren't contracted at that point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they aren't they aren't in an active position. But when you're sitting at a 90-degree angle, which most chairs are, your hip flexors are in a constant state of tension. So your hip flexors become tight as a side effect, but your lower back is going to become tight and your core muscles become weak. That's why you have like, people who stand like this and their bellies are popping out.
Yeah,
All that they don't have any intra. Yeah, they don't have any intra-abdominal pressure because those hip flexors have fucked up the rest of the chain of the system. Like if you look at the body like the like the spokes on a wheel of a bike, right? So each spoke of the bike is the same length, and it's the same length because it's if it hits or bumps something, it dissipates the forces evenly. But if you look at your body in a way that if one muscle is tight, it's gonna mess with the rest of the system because now all the lengths of those are gonna be changed as well. So I think one example is what's the very first vertebrae. I think it's the axial, right? The axial vertebrae, like up here. If your neck gets tight, it's usually because a muscle on either side is tugging at it a little too much, and then it's bothering your spinal cord.
Yeah, so like it's also similar if you have like tight hamstrings, for example, right? It obviously affects your calf mobility, whether or not you're able to have your ankles at a certain degree when you're trying to like
Yeah,
apply pressure, and then it also hits your like glutes as well because there's only so much your hamstring can go before you're obviously relying on your glutes to take control. So like if you're doing a lot of
yeah,
hamstring dominated exercises, you start to realize that your hamstrings lack of mobility makes it that your glutes are working out, so your body's not actually functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning.
yeah. And sometimes people don't even feel their muscles working. Like they have there's no awareness in that region of the body. Like some people they don't know how to flex their lats, right? Like there's
Yeah.
not that kinesthetic awareness. So it's good to build that link because it's good to build that interoception because the more in tune you are with your body, the more you're gonna understand it. Like let's say you're getting hangry, right? Once you see the symptoms of you getting hangry, you're not gonna flip out on people, or you're gonna communicate it to them that you might flip out because you're hungry. You know, you're getting hangry. It's a terrible example, but like interoception is just gonna help in the long run because it's gonna let you become more grounded and more aware in the decision you need to make.
Yeah, so you're like getting more in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
Mm. Didn't you have a question a while ago, Benjo?
Well, no, I forgot it now. I mean, no, you guys talked about a lot of stuff there, especially about the stuff about getting tight in certain areas, just like how that messes up the whole like kinetic chain of your body, because like most uh, articles online would say your body acts as like one whole kinetic chain, and if one part is just like fucked
Yeah.
up, then the whole chain is fucked up. Like it's just not gonna work out and stuff. So that's how it
Yeah.
is, or whatever. So.
I think like just like one more final question. I think I'm just curious. Do you do a lot of cardio, like conventional cardio, or would you say that a lot of your movements seem more like cardio for you?
Well, I should do more cardio.
Okay.
Like I should train for more cardio. Like it's just that I also just play golf, so I don't really need that cardio. I don't need that endurance. You know, like maybe over a stretch of 4 days, I will. And when I do go pro, I expect that I will. But there's other different things in my life that I'm focusing on. So like for like the movement stuff right now, like I want to focus on that more than the cardio stuff because I can work on the cardio at the end. Like there's a lot of data on that, but the movement stuff is all really new. So I want to spearhead that. You know what I mean? Like I really want to understand that and see if there's a message behind it. Because we know cardio is important. Like it can literally grow your heart. Like you can grow more heart muscle when you do cardio.
That's totally fair, yeah. So that's basically all we have for this podcast episode. It was really great to hear what you guys. Alex got the questions down. Chris just fucking shotgunned all his answers. It was a
Yeah.
lot of information.
A
So
lot of
um,
information.
one of the main things
I
to do.
shot everywhere, bro. Missing the mark low key, but I'm just spraying it.
It's all right.
I mean, hey, you miss all the shots you don't take, right? So
Exactly.
good shit anyway. But yeah, so like every other episode, do your fucking research. Do your fucking research. Do what works for you, and you'll land on something that you enjoy and you can share with other people, just like Chris is doing, making a website and shit like that with the Instagram account, especially. We'll put that
Plug it
in
in the
the
comments or in the
yeah,
description.
Oh,
exactly.
the
Yeah.
plug. I see.
So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening, and Chris, thanks for coming on, man. Really
Thank you so
appreciated
much.
that. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. See ya.
See y'all, man.
See ya.